Hello, hello. Hello, hello. 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 Oh, people coming. Hello, good to see you. I'm Professor Yaverbaum. Hello, hello. Hello, thank you. Gabriel, is it, do I say Gabrielle or wait, do I say, all right, this is, I want to get to know you people right now. Oh, hello, hello, wait. Anybody who's saying hello is already doing a very good thing. Anybody who's showing a hey, anybody who's typing hey is doing good. And I'm going to try to say your names. I'm going to say them wrong, right? So hello, Jesse. Thank you. Hello, Jasmine. Thank you. Hello, Angel or Angel. I'm going fast. I'm saying wrong. Melanie. Thank you. Awesome. This is great. This is what we want. This is great. And if you're showing video, I'm even more psyched. If you're not, it's okay. I understand. We'll get to that. Jesse. Hello. Thank you. Crystal. Hello. Thank you. Soha. Skyla. Keltiana, I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. Kameza, and correct me right away if you want, if you can. Johandri, hello. Quasi, hello. Gabrielle or Gabriel. Lars, hello, hello. All right, I'm Yaverbaum. I'm Professor Yaverbaum. Hello, hello. This is great. Okay. Hello. Oh, Kat, hello. I think it's Kat.
Good evening.
Good evening. Oh, I like good evening. That's good. All right. All right. And hope so. I'm gathering already that you guys, it seems that you can hear me. That's good. I seems like I can hear you. There's hopefully you can see the board. You might not be able to read all my handwriting yet or understand why I'm writing what I'm writing. This is all like getting to know each other stuff right now today. It is Physics 102. If you're trying to take Physics 102, you're in the correct place. If you're taking at John Jay, if you're taking Physics 102, this is the thank you. Thank you. Cool. I'll try to explain those doodles too. I'll do anything to get attention. I'll do anything to keep this as tolerable as possible, including doodling badly. Oh, your connection's very bad. Wait, let me see that. Try to read the chats. I'm looking at the chats. Oh yeah, no, I totally understand. Thank you. I totally understand about internet could fail at any moment. We're all hanging by a thread here. We're in the middle of a virus. We're in the middle of a crazy world. We're in the middle of a storm. Like, I consider myself blessed to see any of your videos. I consider myself blessed to have any of you here at all. This is a long class. You're going to fade in and out. I know that. So am I. Like, you're going to go. If you have your video now, it's great. It does not. Let me say right away to anybody, say you have your video on now. You're not setting yourself up for a risk. Like, it doesn't mean now you're screwed and you can't turn it off because I'll know you went like to go smoke in the boys' room or something. Like, I won't care. Any moment that someone's video is on is a good, nice, happy thing for me. But in general, I assume 75% of your videos are going to be off. Like, I understand how it goes. So when you turn on and turn off, I'm not tracking your offs. I'm just responding well to your ons, if that makes any sense. That's going to inform the way I grade also, you're going to see, or the way you're going to get grades in this class. Like, the more we can make this livable for one another, the better. Actually, let me be even more concrete about that. And you're going to get to know Professor Walters tomorrow. If you don't already know him, like, it's two of us that teach this course together. We've been doing it together for a while. Excuse me. Hold on a second. Hold on. What? Sorry. We've been doing this. I'm distracted. 1 second. I'm sorry. Well, excuse me. Life in the Wild West. Okay. Professor Walters and I love this class. We love doing it together. We do it together. We're neighbors. We communicate a lot. We do things similarly, not exactly the same. Our grading style is different. You'll get used to both of them. In the end, you get a grade that comes from both of us. I'll explain all of that. That will all be in the syllabus that you'll get. But the main thing I want to say right now, before we go any further, is the more we can all stay as alive as possible in these 2.5 hours each time. And I don't mean for every minute. I mean, but the more we can all think and engage and get stuff done in this long period each time, the less you'll have to stress in between times. Like, I like to get a lot done during class period and spend not a lot of time thinking about it in between. And maybe you're the same. I mean, you have a lot of work for a lot of other classes. I'm not saying there isn't going to be work here, and there are a lot of lab reports and stuff, and Walters assigns a lot of work. But from my point of view, the more interchanging we can do here, the better. But I also know it's a real pain in the butt to be trapped at your computer like this. So we're going to talk about that. You're going to find, I give a lot of points in a lot of different ways for class participation. You're going to see that today. You're all going to get points today for participating today. You're going to see how that works. In fact, it's like the main thing we'll get done today is just to show you how you can get points and how we can stay alive together in this type of learning environment. Let me start with detail, some formal details. Hopefully you got in. Well, if you're here right now at this Zoom address, that means something right already happened. If you're here right now at this Zoom address, you're doing something very right, and I'm very pleased. That means at least you already got an email from me telling you to show up here. That's good. It also might mean that you might already have joined the Google Classroom. That's what I'm about to find out in 1 second. Yeah, bear with me for 1 second. Oh my God, they're closing CUNY again tomorrow. Okay, I guess it's not interesting. You still have remote classes tomorrow. Okay, that's not interesting. As far as Google Classroom is concerned, yes, wow, I'm really impressed. I'm really happy. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wow, wait a minute, 1, 2, is that all of you? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20. First of all, this is a big class. I'm impressed that all of you are taking this class. We'll try to make it as little as possible. I have 20 of you. Okay. Sorry, I'm doing more than one thing at once. This is a big class. I have 23 of you in the room with me right now in this Zoom. We're going to get to know each other, hopefully. Oh, I love that background. That's very cool. Oh. All right, I'm reading in the. Yeah, this is great that you guys are helping each other in the chat with. You're absolutely right that I would like you to sign up for. Well, I need you to sign up for Google Classroom like now. And I'm glad you guys are helping each other. You shouldn't have to use a Gmail. I mean, if it's working, great, use a Gmail. It's true. I don't care what email you use. And maybe sometimes you can't with a John Jay, which would be too much. But you can use whatever you want. And I'll put the code. It looks like most of you have, but not everybody, just to be clear. And I know some of you have used Google Classroom before and some of you haven't. I totally understand that. I do want to make it clear. I don't use Blackboard. I will try to put a link in Blackboard to the Google Classroom thing. I apologize. I don't mean to give you guys a million different things to manage, but I don't find Blackboard good. So for all work management. Yes. Okay. Hold on a second. Good question. All right. Good. If you've used Google Classroom before, great. If you haven't, hopefully you will not find. I mean, Google is Google. So if you use Google anything, it's like that. I'm not sure, but the real deal is this. We use Google Classroom here. And I'm seeing the chat questions. I'll try to answer them one at a time. We use Google Classroom for all work management in physics, and particularly in this class. When I say all, I certainly mean homework and I mean lab reports, but I also mean exams. Your exams you're going to turn into Google Classroom. Today, even if you've done this before, today, one of our primary objectives, as boring as this will be, maybe for some of you, one of our primary objectives today is that we are going to do an exchange where you're going to hand in a simple assignment today and you're going to get it back today in class. You are not going to leave. I'm not going to leave class and you're not going to leave class until at least you have turned in this one super simple assignment and gotten back a full 50 out of 50 points on it. Like our job will be done if you can get 50 points for today before you leave. And everybody will, as long as they hang tight and do it. And once you get the 50 points for the simple PDF that I'm going to ask you to hand in, then the main purpose of that 50, like you'll keep them. I mean, they're not a joke, but the main purpose is that then you'll know that I know that you know how to submit a PDF to Google Classroom assignment portal, because that's literally the way you're going to submit your exams. So like once we get through today, we'll all hopefully be comfortable that when it comes to exam time, the most stressful aspect of the exam will hopefully just be the material, and hopefully it won't even be that stressful. And you'll know exactly the procedure for doing it, and there won't be any confusion, and it won't get lost or anything. Now, as far as this question that someone just put in the chat, really good question. It says, will we use this link for every meeting? So first of all, can I say, is it Gabrielle or, wait, sorry, let me, is it Gab?
I have no preference. Up to you.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I respond to either.
Okay, great, all right, thank you. All right, so, well, it's a great question. Do you mean the Google Classroom link or the Zoom link? Or
The Zoom link.
Oh, okay. So great question. So for the Zoom, this Zoom link is what you guys will use every Monday. Every other day, Wednesday, the other day that you have, the day that you have lab, you'll use Walter's Zoom link. I don't know if you've been given that yet. Have any of you gotten an email or anything from Walter? No. Okay, hang on one second. So I'm glad you're raising this question. Oh, let me look in the chat. Not yet. Okay. No, great. Okay. I'm glad you're raising this question. So, and none of you have met. Oh wait, did any of you have Walters for Physics 101? Oh yeah. Oh, great. Okay, great. So just to be as clear to everybody as possible, right? You'll have me for lectures every Monday. You'll have Walters. Now there's two Walters in our department, but Jay Walters, Professor Walters, the male, because there's also a professor. There's a Professor Mr. Walters and there's a Professor Mrs. Walters. Professor Mr. and it's not a coincidence they're married to each other. I was at their wedding. It was lovely. I read their first lab report ever at their wedding too, and I'm not even joking about that. But they're amazing people. But Professor Mr. Walters, he teaches the lab section of this course. He's the same guy that you might have had last semester. I think he has the same Zoom link for whatever it's worth. I'm sure he will send you an email telling you that, but if you have his Zoom link from the past, it's the same Zoom link, I'm sure. Google Classroom, we both will share this same Google Classroom code. Like all your work will go to this one and the same Google, like we're both teachers on it. I think maybe you can even already see that fact. But so it's a great question. I don't offhand have his Zoom link. I apologize. I just put my Zoom link in the classroom in a way that's hopefully easy to access, and he'll put his in as soon as he does. Does that, but as long as we're asking this, just in case, because that is a fair question, as I'm going to give you something right now, just in case. This is to everyone. This I'm not putting in Google Classroom, but. What I just put in the chat is an unusual, not something I would have done, semesters ago before the COVID and all of that, but I just put my cell phone number in the chat, and I did this on purpose. I want you all to have my cell phone number because a lot of times things can come up. Like for example, I think you're going to get an email from Walters well in advance that will tell you what Zoom channel or what Zoom link to go to for Wednesday's lab. And whatever that Zoom place is, it will be the same every Wednesday. But let's just say for some reason there was a mix up or something, and you don't get the email in time or something like that. You can absolutely text me at my cell phone number. Say my name is, is Jesse. I'm in your 102 class. Just wondering, do you have Walter's Zoom link or so, like anything that is so simple and straightforward, anything that like is like a multiple choice question or like a true false question, anything that's like, hi, did you announce the exam date? Yes or no, Yaverbaum. Or hi, I need a letter of recommendation, but I need it by next week. Can I please schedule an appointment to talk to you very soon? Like anything that is text worthy, that would take less time for me to answer than actually opening up an email inbox, seeing other emails from other people, getting distracted. But I don't know if you're like that, but this is the way I am. A lot of things are easier to do by text than by email because they can just be done right there without getting involved in other things. If you have a question for me that really can be handled by text like that, please do feel free to just text it to me. I mean, to say your name and then do that. I'd actually rather you jump the queue and just go straight to text than put an email in my box that's then get confused with a lot of other things. That don't abuse this, obviously. By abuse, I mean, first of all, of course, don't use my cell phone number to try to sell me something or something like that, like obviously. But more to the point, what would be abuse? I really want you to have it because I can be hard to reach by email sometimes, and I don't want to be hard to reach, especially during COVID, blah, blah, blah. Anxieties can run high for whatever reasons, including my own. So the reason I really want you to have the text, my cell phone number, is so that you just don't ever like feel like you're totally at bay, with anxiety or something. What you don't ever want to use my cell phone for, what you don't want to text me is something like, I missed the lectures on springs. Can you explain springs to me? That would, I hope I don't have to explain, that would bum me out. That's not something I can do by text. That's not really something that, I want to do by text. That's not something that you want to get from me by text. That, and frankly, by the time you realize that, that's not even really email worthy, right? Like that's like we need to sit down and have a conversation and back up a couple of steps. So don't send text like that. But anything that I can do without getting up from my chair and without making a big production is going to make me happy to help you and make you happy to get your help right away. So please, and that includes this Wednesday, if you still don't know where to go for some reason, I don't think this will happen, but text me and say we still don't know where to go. That's that. Sorry, thank you. The reason okay, no, and I'm giving it, look, because I have been bad with well, anyway, you get it. You thank you for thanking me. Just use it wisely. And last semester I did this and it really worked well. Honestly, the bottom line is I'd rather answer 100 fast questions to 100 of you, and then we all feel like things are solid, than to answer one really long question. Like it doesn't, so if we can keep it texting philosophy, then it works like that. All right. So you do want to sign up for this Google Classroom thing. I'm going to pause to see how many of you have. There's 23 of you in the room. I've got how many of you signed up right now? But you really want to be in the Google Classroom because I won't communicate any other. I mean, we won't be able to exchange work any other way. So let's see, where are we? I've got one, two. Well, I'm going to say, I've got Skyla. I've got Rahel. Do I say Rahel? Could you correct me? Am I saying it right? Or Rahele? Or I'll keep going. I've got Gabrielle. I've got Rachel. I've got Kameza. Correct me if I'm saying it wrong. Kamaza. I've got Quasi. I've got Syed. Michaela. Lars. I've got Harry. I've got Veronica. I've got Johandri. I've got Jasmine. I've got Julia. Again, stop. I'm going fast but stop me from saying your name wrong. And I can't see your face right now because I'm reading from a list here, but I've got Iola. I've got Melanie. I've got Jennifer. I've got Crystal. I've got Soha. Some of you I recognize from a long time ago. It's good to see you again. And fresh slate all around. Soha, Jesse, Angel or Angel, please tell me. Kellyanna and Vanieta. This is who I have signed up so far. If I didn't say your name, you're probably in the right place, but you want to sign up for this Google Classroom thing. 1, 2, like now you do, because the next thing's going to happen is we're going to work on the first assignment together and make sure we get the points, and you won't be able to get credit for your work unless you're in this Google Classroom thing. So 3, so please help each other. If there's 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 20.
Professor, you could say Angel. I don't go by the other way.
Thank you, Angel. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, and it looks like, so that's Angel. And it says Julie if I go by Cat. Okay, thank you. Oh yes, okay. And I said, and you're here, but don't see your name. Wait, this is great. I appreciate how you're doing this. Rahel. So that was correct. Okay. Okay. And Kameza, and the accent is on the Kameza. Well, okay. All right, it says Julie, but I go back here. I'm here, but I don't see my name. Now that's interesting. Wait, I think I did say Iola. Yeah, no, I've got yours, Iola. You wouldn't see it, you would just hear it. Lola, and this is good. By the way, every one of you that's putting something in the chat right now, whether it's a pronunciation of your name or you just wrote in like, do you see my name? You're going to see that you're going to get points for doing this kind of thing. Any one of you that's just doing anything that shows you're alive, that makes me feel like I'm in a room with you is really super helpful. It's like vital because otherwise this is death to all of us and we know it. Like online learning sucks. Can I just say that? And teaching, it stinks. So anything we can do to make this a human experience is great, including you guys writing these things in the chat. Like, do you see my name? Okay, Lola, do I? Good question. Let me look. Lola, Lola. And you're not, nobody's wasting anybody's time. This is what we're here for. Lola, wait, maybe I don't, but I could have sworn I did. Wait, Lola Narmatova. Hold, bear with me for a second. Lola. Now, I'm glad you asked, Lola. I don't actually see your name. I don't know if you can hear me. No, I don't. So I can even.
I mean, I'm on it, but I don't see my name either. I don't know.
Wait.
I mean, I'm on Google Classroom. I registered, but I don't see my name. Is that?
Yeah, no, that's it. And wait, you sign up for this particular class for
Yeah.
Huh, I don't
Yeah.
see any.
Strange. Should I maybe refresh it or?
Yeah, I'm hitting refresh too just to see. Wait, let's see. Lola. Oh, I don't see either. Wait a minute. When you say you don't see your name though, where would
If I would go to people, and then I would see teachers and classmates, and like I don't see my name.
Oh yeah, right. That's exactly the right place. Can you read off an example of a name that you do? Do you see Yaverbaum?
Yeah, I see teachers. There's two, like you are and Professor Walters, and then I see classmates. It says 23 students, but I don't see my name in there.
Okay, although other people are now writing in the chat that they think maybe it's true that nobody ever sees their own name. That's what other people let's see. Oh, so this is great. I love this. So someone else is telling. So Jennifer's saying that she does see your name. She just doesn't see. So apparently you just don't see your own name. Wait.
Oh, but do you see my name, Professor?
That's a really good question. Now, good point. Good point. I'm getting distracted because I'm looking at the chat and also because someone just gave me a compliment in the chat. So of course I'm totally distracted now. But let me just look again. Look. Oh, Lola. I think I see what's happening. I think I do. Someone else can confirm. Lola, is it possible that your name was typed in? This is going to sound weird, but is your name possibly typed in with a lowercase L for Lola? Okay, so I totally see it. You are there. That is slightly confused. I don't know why that happened, but so it didn't look like, but yes, you are there. Is there anybody? So yeah, you're there, but this is great. This is helping me. I mean, wait, 40 messages. Also, if you click view your work, you should see your name. Oh, cool. And I also see, oh, this is great. See, we're getting to know each other just by this ridiculousness. Oh, into class. Okay. So for example, okay, thank you. Got it. Wait, I'm getting private chats too. You're going to, cool. Yes. Oh, that's cool that you said thank you. Every one of these little polite interchanges that you guys are doing, you're going to see as points. You're going to see. It's going to take me a while to explain, but now I'm just looking. Hold on one second. All right, I'm going to check one last thing. I think you're all in. Then it looks like you're all in. Yes. Okay. I think you're all in. So now that's good. We're getting somewhere. We're getting to know each other. The next thing, and again, whenever you feel like it, I love the fact that some of your videos are on. When you feel like it, please do put your video on. When you don't, turn it off. It's fine. But if at any given moment I can have some videos on, it just helps me. And that's what you're doing. And I appreciate it. Same thing with the mute and unmute. You don't have to keep them. I mean, you want to keep the things on mute so that there isn't feedback and like awful noises or cars crashing and babies crying. And no offense, some of my best children were babies at one point. And we'll talk about that. But like, you know, you want to have things on mute so that background noises aren't coming through. But really, I want you guys to be in the habit of interrupting me at any and all times because I will just keep talking if you don't. And it's not my intention. It's just my fear of silence. The more you guys talk and the less I do, the better for all. So you don't have to keep things on mute except in terms of background noises and stuff like that. what am I trying to say right now? But what we're going to do now is we're going to move to stage 2. Stage 2 is if you're all in the Google Classroom, which I think you are, now you're going to see there, hopefully you'll see that 2 assignments like got put in your stream or whatever you call it, or which really means your email address. You've gotten 2 assignments from me already. Technically, they're both due a week from today. They're both due at the beginning of class next week, technically. Now, one of them you really are going to work on for homework and you really are going to hand in before 4:30 next week. We'll talk about what that means. You're not going to get all the right answers, and that's fine. I mean, you might not get all the right answers, and that's fine. Some of you might not even feel that you can get up to the last question. Like you might hit a wall or run out of steam by the last question. I mean, you'll have a whole week, so I'll ask that you try your hardest to put something for the last question, but you may start losing confidence toward the end. You might be bored at the beginning. You might. Whatever it is, my expectations are thoroughness and clarity. My expectations, the grade that you'll get will not be based on how correct you are. It won't. That happens on exams, but it doesn't happen on homework. The grade you'll get will be dependent on how thorough and clear you are. It's nothing to stress about, but the homework that will be due next Wednesday is called A Thing on a Spring. We'll start talking about it today, ideally. We'll start getting to it. We might even do some of it together today. We might well. But that's technically what will be due next Wednesday. I keep saying next Monday. Like if we were all to shut down right now, that's your next responsibility in the class, is to try to work out that sheet, A Thing on a Spring. You can use whatever help you want. You can and should use one another to discuss. You can go on the web and use any resources you want, including Khan Academy, blah, blah. None of that is considered cheating. There's almost no way anything you could think to do to cheat on this homework would not be considered cheating because it's homework. We'll talk more about that, but it's the case. So I'm saying all that to say, like, if we were to get cut off right now, or if any of you had to go and you want to know, like, where do you stand in the class or what's the next thing going on? Your next goal would be to try to do as much work as possible for that thing on a spring sheet and to hand it in before next class, to hand it in by a procedure that we're all now going to do with the other assignment. I'm going to pause for a second. So what I'm saying is there's 2 homeworks technically due next Wednesday. One of them is looks really like physics. It's called A Thing on a Spring. The other one does not look like physics. It's called A Game. That's what we're going to do together right now. I'm going to explain it. The game is what we're all going to do together right now. The game is what you're going to get 50 points for, like right now, or, in the next few minutes. And once you get the 50 points for that, I'll feel confident that you know at least how to turn in the other homework for next Monday. You might not know how to do all the physics, but you'll know how to turn it in. Am I making any sense so far? Like, can I get any kind of thumbs up or anything just to affirm that you, okay, great. Thank you. That's awesome. See, I love it already. Great. Wow, look at that. See, and everyone who's saying yup or yes or whatever, besides keeping me alive and keeping me sane, you're also in effect getting points. Like you're going to get, maybe not every single one of your yups, but just every time you're doing yup, even if 30 other people said yup right before you, you're still doing something like good and worthy in this class. And by the way, as you can already tell, I have a terrible time with eye contact a lot of time when I'm talking. Once you're talking and I'm listening, I will look right at you and I will listen. But when I'm thinking, I tend to do this. It's very bad, but it makes you also feel like that your presence is dissipating. It's not. Every time you say yup or yes or whatever, it really registers. Trust me, or don't trust me. You'll find out. So to prove that or whatever, here's how we're going to all deal with the assignment called A Game. If you take it out, if you look at it right now, I'm assuming you all got it. Let me look in the chat with it and just make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat. Sorry. No, it looks like I'm not missing. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, let me pause for a second. I'm getting good questions in the chat. And some of them I'm getting in the private chat. We'll talk about that too. Okay. Yes. Wait, and stop me if I already said this. Maybe I did. Every class we do gets recorded and then posted on YouTube. All of these, and I of course, that has the effect of making some people more quiet, which is not the idea. Like all of this, anything we do, and right now we're just getting to know each other, but all the physics we do and talk about, it will all be posted on YouTube like hours after each class. Like it takes me a couple hours to you know, upload it and all that. But yes, whatever we're doing right now, including what we're doing right now, will be accessible on YouTube. I think I put that link. Maybe someone could stop and tell me. I think I put the YouTube link right in your Google Classroom. Could someone confirm or deny? I think, yes. Great. Thank you. Okay. So if you go there, so it's there. That's my YouTube channel. Of course, this class, old versions of this class are there. You can find them, and it's not cheating at all. Like, you can find, you know, tomorrow's class from last summer or whatever there. And I have no problem if you watch in advance. I can't imagine you're going to want to, but you're certainly welcome to. Everything we do in the class will be posted on that YouTube channel for you to be able to look at later and rewind and whatever. Please understand, I'm sure you know, I'm lucky if you guys watch these YouTubes, right? They're there for you to make class easier to handle. And I hope they do. But of course, I'm lucky if you guys even watch them. You got to understand, no one else in the world is watching these things. They're not that good, right? No one else. So why I'm saying that is, please don't let the fact that these are being recorded and going on YouTube inhibit you from participating. I get why that would have that effect, but it's a mistake. No one else is watching this crap. It's just for you. And I could make it private if you think that's necessary, but I don't think it is. Anyway, yeah, they're all going to be posted on YouTube, and the notes you'll also get in PDF form. You'll get after every class in your Google Classroom. That's a good question. Oh, keeps. Okay. And Walters may have his own YouTube channel or whatever. Well, okay. So that's the answer to that. So now what you're going to do is, if you look at that assignment, if you look at the assignment that's in your Google Stream called a game, take one, it just says something sort of dumb on, I'll see if I can pull it out. Well, pardon me, one second. Oh, I'm just pulling it out so you can see. Okay. I'm talking about what I'm looking at right now, just to be clear to everybody, if I can be as clear as possible. I am looking at, whoa, nope, that was a mistake. That was a joke. That's not what I meant to do. I'm looking at, yes, all right. I'm looking at this assignment right now. Again, technically this is due the beginning of class next week. Truthfully, it's due when, well, truthfully, it's going to be due today in class because we're going to do it together. You're going to get a lot of assignments like this from me. They're all going to be called a game. They'll be called like a game take 1, a game take 2, a game take 13, whatever. You're going to get at least one every week, but you'll probably start getting like 4 or 5 a week. Each one of these is an assignment portal. It's not a requirement. Each one of these is optional, but they're highly recommended. The simplest version of these is this one right here, a game take 1. What does it say? It says you're going to submit a PDF with a quick reminder of at least one remark, question, or comment you attributed to today's discussion. Okay, this is what I literally mean by this. And it's important to know because, again, it's a system for the whole class. Say you said anything at all today, at all already. And I mean, say you wrote yes in the public chat when I asked, can you hear me? Like, it could be that simple. Or say I explained something and then you even just said, wait, can you say that again? Like that would count. Or you know, or you put a thumbs up in your video when I asked, can you guys see me? Anything at all that you said today on a piece of paper, you're just going to write down a quick reminder of that. Like, my name is Melissa, and I like put my thumbs up when you ask. Okay, you're not going to lie, you're going to tell the truth, but you're just going to remind me. You're going to assume that I did register it at the time, and now you're just reminding me of what your little participation was. Okay, you're just going to jot that on a piece of paper. Or you could type it into your computer if you want. But then, say in the extreme case, you jot it out on a piece of paper. Why would you jot it on a piece of paper? Because probably most of you still probably prefer to do math and physicsy kinds of things with pencil and paper. I know I do. Like, so this assignment we're going to do together now called the game is kind of like practice for submitting assignments and exams in general. So what I want to say to everybody is I, to this day, prefer to do physics with pencil and paper. Like I think how I solve problems pencil and paper. I don't think about physics by typing out equations. Some of you maybe do. Some of you are really good at computers or at LaTeX or something. That is terrific, and that gives you a leg up in the science world. Terrific. But for those, nobody in this class is ever required to do a physics exam that way. Nobody here is ever required to think through physics by typing. I mean, including me. So assuming that many of us like to write things out by pencil or pen, today and every day, you're going to write on a piece of paper, oh, I participate in class by saying yes when you asked if you could see me. Okay, you're going to write down a piece of paper. Then you're going to take a picture of that piece of paper, or you're going to scan that piece of paper. Somehow you're going to get an image of that paper into your phone or into the computer. Again, this is super boring and stupid for some people who like live in computers all the time, but this is really important to hear for those people who are still not a big fan of this kind of technology. And I can sympathize with both camps, believe me. So you're going to write down a reminder to me of how you participated today. Then you're going to take a picture of that and get the picture into your phone, and ultimately somehow get the picture into your computer. Like I think most people know how to do that at this point. Like whether it's a JPEG or a PNG or GIF, whatever, GIF, you're going to get that picture of the one piece of paper that you just scrolled out into your computer. Then I'm asking you, this is the technical part that sounds really obsessive, but it's important. You're not going to give me that JPEG. I can't take a JPEG. I don't want a JPEG. I don't want a PNG. I don't want a GIF. I don't want to sound like that person who cares about these things, but I am. You're going to turn that picture into a PDF. For some of you, there's a million different ways to do that. You don't need to be told how to do it. You're just going to do it your way. Fantastic. Others of you might have skipped this whole step that I'm saying, and you might just type straight into your computer and turn that into a PDF. Fantastic. But those of you, but everybody needs to give me a PDF one way or another. You're going to see why. So those of you who drew something out on a piece of paper and then took a picture, like a JPEG, and sent the JPEG to your computer, if you don't know how to turn a JPEG into a PDF, or you don't have some like that does that, let me recommend to you, again, at the risk of boring others of you, what you can always do is just open a fresh new Word document. Open a fresh new Word document. On the first page of it, just insert that picture that you just took, like insert that JPEG onto the page. Say ultimately you wanted to give me many pages, like many pictures. You would put one picture on each one page of the Word document. You would save that whole Word document, and then you'd go to print it. Many of you know this. Some people don't know. If you go to print, there's almost always one of the printer options besides like your printer that's sitting on the table. It will give you an option to save as PDF. Like that's a cheap way of turning your Word document, turning pictures into PDF, is you can just go to print them, but print as a PDF. Again, boring for most people who already know it, crucial for people who happen not to know this already. What I'm asking everybody to do right now, I'd like you to write on a piece of paper how you participated in class today and somehow get that into a PDF and submit the PDF into the Google assignment that you just got today called a game. Like the point of this is you're reminding me how you participated today. When I get that reminder, like right now today, I'm going to write a quick note back to you like, yeah, I remember, like, thanks or whatever. And you're going to get 50 points right now. And that's how, and there's going to be like a lot of portals like that are going to open up as we progress through class. Like anything that says a game on it is an opportunity for you to remind me how you participated. And there'll be different point structures, like some participation will get you more points than others. I'll explain all that, but we're going to practice it right now. And it is for real. Like these points add up for your grade. So I'm going to stop. Oh, sorry, kid is coming back. A cat is coming back in, sorry. But when I say now, I really mean, if you're following this, you're literally doing this now, when we're going to kind of wait till everybody has submitted one, and you'll get back to points today. So let me see if you're. So for example, one person has turned it in. Thank you very much. I see that. Oh, yeah. And the key is my first check, I will grade it and send it back to you if it's a PDF. Don't give me a Word doc, please. I mean, and don't give me a JPEG. And the reason is because I can grade these PDFs. The system crashes if it gets other things. I mean, it's a long story, but really, if you just want to make the whole grading system as efficient and good as possible, it'll be a PDF. Oh, we'll talk more about grading, but one reason we're doing this all today is if I forget to say, I won't forget to say, but if you don't know me already, I want to get to know you guys. I want you to know I can give as many A's. I shouldn't put it that way. I want you to know every single person in this class could end up with an A, and it would not violate any rule of the college, and it would not threaten my job security, and it would not disappoint me, and it would not prove to me that I had done a bad job. Or Walters, if everybody ends up with an A legitimately from not cheating, but from learning material, then everybody's done their job wonderfully, and that's great. And I'm saying that to make clear before we go any further that in some classes, I believe there is a competition between students and the professor, or there ends up being a competition between students. I mean, some of that is inevitable, but in some classes, there's like a limited number of A's to go around. And in some classes, even for some reason, the professor feels like it's like they have to be showing people how hard the class or something. I don't know. There's different agendas in different classes. And I've taken all kinds of classes in my life, and some of them were very stressful. We're here to learn. We're here to be challenged. I hope you'll see some exciting things you didn't see before, but I don't believe in stress just for stress's sake. So I don't believe that certain people have to get bad grades in a class to make it a legitimate class. You're starting off with an A, all of you, and your A is for you to keep by like following and staying with me. Your A is for you to keep as long as you follow and stay with me. All you have to do is sort of fulfill your side of the contract, which I'll be more clear what that is. And you should end up with a good grade in this class. I want you to have a good grade in this class. I want to make that clear before we go any further. There are enough basic ways to get an A. Let me rephrase. To get an A, you just have to have integrity. For whatever reason, every semester, there's always just a number of students, just enough students who have some situation going on in their life, or who don't have integrity, or something. There's always just enough students who can't even meet the basic obligations of the class, and therefore can't even pass or get a complete or will get an F or a D. There's always, but they had to really work hard to do that. You really have to either really go out of your way to be aggressively irresponsible, or you have to have some other major conflict in your life that really like pulls you away from the class to actually end up in a place where you've not completed the work and you get an F or a D. Somehow that does happen to just enough students every semester that enables all the rest of the students to do very well with not a lot of stress, as long as they're chill and helpful about it, if that makes any sense. Like, I just want to make clear, I want you to get an A. I don't need you to get a bad grade to prove something to myself. And I don't need to prove to you like how much I know this material. The truth is, and we'll get into this too, but I love this class. Walters loves this. I mean, loves the material of this class. We usually have a really good time teaching it. Obviously, usually it's not in a quarantine. It's not usually, this weirdness. But I'm here to, my goal is to get people to like physics. I already like physics. And my goal is even more so to get you to like it even in a quarantine, which is hard. But my goal is not to get you to believe that I know a lot of physics. I know, I do know some physics, and I'm comfortable with that. I'm not here to make, I know for a fact that I know that I know more physics than some of you because I've been doing it longer. I mean, the truth is I've been teaching this material for longer, oddly, than many of you have been alive. I've been teaching since 1992. So I know some physics, but I also know from a lot of experience that a lot of you in the room are innately more intelligent than I am and always will be, that you were born more intelligent than I was and you'll die more intelligent than I will. I mean that as a compliment. Like, I happen to know a lot of physics because I've spent a lot of years studying it, but it didn't come easy to me. I don't expect it to come easy to anybody. And I didn't like it at first. And I'm not like, I don't have some special thing going on that you guys don't have. It's like some of you have some special things going on in your brain way more than I do. And hopefully, I'll get you to like this material if you don't already. But there's no expectations of anything that you necessarily know before or anything you have to do to prove to me that you're worthy or vice versa. And by the way, if I had you a long time ago, or if you're coming back after a long hiatus, then I know that each one of us is a cat and has 9 lives, and you're starting over a fresh life as far as I'm concerned. And I hope you'll give me the same benefit too. Wait, I'm just looking at the chat in case I'm missing anything. Wait a second, sorry. Oh, well, that's very nice. Oh, thank you. Oh, well, that's very nice. Oh, well, that's very, oh, wow. Okay, well, oh, Google Drive, good advice about the Google Drive. Well, it's very nice what you guys are saying. By the way, I totally appreciate that you're not only saying nice things, but you're saying them to everybody. That's cool. I mean, that's like gutsy, and I want to encourage that. And look, and I'm glad if you, and I mean every word I'm saying. I am trying to make us more comfortable. I'm also trying to like reduce the hate, because I don't mean that you, but I mean like this is rough. This whole thing of learning this way, of going to school this way. And it's been rough on me. I have not been teaching at my best at all. I've made some major mistakes as a teacher in this. I don't even know. Wow. All right. Okay, great. Wait. And actually, I don't even know what some of these abbreviated. Wait. Wait. Oh, I know. Right. I know. Right. Got it. Okay. Well, I'll say a random thing too, just so you know understand where I'm coming from. Right. I love teaching. I have been teaching since 1992. I usually, once the classroom starts, even if I'm in a bad mood, usually I lose myself when I have a great time, and time usually flies, even in a long class like this, usually. Now, since this quarantine, man, it's been an attack on my spirit like everybody else's. And I guess one little, I'll get to know you better. You'll get to know me better. I'll say one autobiographical note. I have two sons. One is 17, like a junior in high school. Not here in this, he's in Vermont, like whatever, complicated. And that's like a bummer in the COVID, but he's 17, a junior in high school. You remember your junior year, that was kind of stressful, right? Like getting into college, all that business. And my other son is 6, he's in kindergarten. Okay, these are 2 years that kind of make a difference in like how you view school, right? Your junior year in high school kind of has some impact on what your relationship is to college, if you're lucky enough to go. And your relationship to kindergarten kind of affects how you like learning after that. Well, like I'm watching them go through, try to be students in this, and it sucks. I mean, I cannot, I mean, I'm hating school for them, watching them go through this as students. And it's really hard and everybody's house has difficulties that are different and can't be described to other households. Like, each one of you is suffering in ways that you might not even know, because you barely can talk to other people without having to get on Zoom or blah, blah, blah. That's all just saying. I think this is some rough stuff. Oh, wait. Oh my God. Well, that's intense. I'm reading the chat. That is intense. Good for you, pediatric neuroscience. Yeah, COVID. Wow. Well, and look, if we get time, we can talk about these things sometime in this class. Like the more we can talk and be relevant, the more the class is worth it anyway. It's true. Yeah, it's been very rough. And the implications that this is going to have on no, this is all like, look, you guys are all aspiring scientists. This is a bad time right now to be a scientist, of course, because the one thing you totally cannot do is labs, and labs are very real. Like any labs, Walters has cooked up some pretty good ways to, I think we're going to suffer less in physics than you do in some other classes like instrumental or stuff like that. But no, you're really suffering, you guys, trying to learn your lab sciences this way. It's ridiculous. But kids, it's the worst. I mean, I'm going to help you guys move. We're going to learn as much as we can and have our transcript be as intact as we can as we get to the other side. I want to help you guys all move through this program. The program is hard enough as it is. But I know you have it rough. You have it rough being in this program, and you have it rough dealing with this program during COVID. I will admit, I think it's even rougher on little kids. Yeah, I think this is an awful time to be a little kid. But that's just my way of saying I don't want to be you right now, any of you. I don't want to be me during this. So look, the one thing I always tell people and hopefully I'll get to, you will all be back. Well, no, I guess I won't. What I used to tell people in the building at John Jay, I mean, I've been at John Jay for a while, since 2011 or something like that. I want you guys to know that I know if you are a if you're any kind of science major at John Jay, and probably if you're in this class, I'll find out soon, but probably most of you are I'm guessing mold bio majors, maybe some of you are chem majors or minors. You're not in this class unless you're trying to be in a science major at John Jay and go on in sciences. If you're in a science major at John Jay, you are working hard and giving up weekends in a way that tons of your other friends at John Jay and other majors are not. We all know it. Wait, that is very interesting. Yeah. We all know during the normal course of affairs, it's hard to do a science major at John Jay, and it's a little bit easier to do some of the other majors. I just think I think everybody knows that. Is it worth it? Is a question. the answer is yes, in my opinion. I'm very proud to be part of this John Jay faculty, and I'm very proud of every student who makes it through this John Jay science, any of these science programs. The reason it is worth it to make it through. The reason you should be proud of anything you've done, even to get to this point, let alone go through this point and move on. The reason you can be proud of a John Jay science degree and know it was worth it is, number one, you are going to get a job on the other side if anybody is. People do get jobs from, I know I'm like, this is a different subject, but just as long as we're trying to encourage each other, this degree still means something. Not all not all degrees in the world, and not all John Jay degrees, not all CUNY degrees, but the John Jay science degrees do mean something, and they do get jobs, and they do get you into graduate school. And I'm not saying that because I'm here because that's true. Why is that true? Here's the key. Why does a John Jay degree in science mean something and actually mean that you potentially can get a job or potentially get into graduate school in a way that some other degrees don't? It's very simple. The reason is because not everybody who starts this degree finishes with this degree. And you all know that. Like, some people don't make it. And I'm not saying that to scare any of you. If you're already taking your second class in physics, you're one of the people that's going to make it probably, even if it takes you more time than you wanted. Some people don't make it to the end. And that's why the people that do make it to the end have something of value. The rest of the world knows this degree means something because you don't automatically get it just for paying for it. You actually have to meet certain standards. And I want to remind you guys of that constantly, because this degree is rough. For every single person, there's a moment, even not during COVID, there's a moment where they're like, oh my God, I'm dying in this program. I thought I was good in science in high school. I thought I loved science in high school. I thought I was good at math or something, and I'm dying here. Or you might even think I'm smarter than everybody around me, and I'm still dying because I don't know what the professors are asking for, or something. Almost everyone at some point in this science program, it might have already happened to you, or it might happen to you during instrumental or something. Almost everybody has a moment when they're like, oh my God, I'm dying. I don't think I can keep going. Right. Or they lose their mind like 10 to the 27th times. Right. Oh yeah. Look, every single one of you who's here is the one who felt smart in high school and then get trounced around once you get here. And I was that person too. I didn't go to John Jay, but I had the same experience. Right. So let me tell you, as long as we're talking about this right now, I didn't mean to get into this today, but look, man, I mean, this is worth us talking about, even not during COVID, but especially during COVID. This degree that you're getting is freaking real. It's real because it's not automatic. It's real because some people don't make it. And that's scary. You're going to have that scary moment where even at best where you might be like, I can do this. I can keep up and I can get C's or B's, but man, is it worth it? And what I'm saying is every single, oh, well, thank you for saying that. I'm not even like, and during the pandemic, it's even worse. That's why we're all of a sudden talking about, even though it's the first day. Any moment that you ever say to yourself, I'm not sure it's worth all the work it takes to be in this program, I might not even make it, or I might just want to drop this. That's the moment you got to remind yourself, that's why if you can hang on a little bit longer, the reward does come. And I am serious about that. And I'm saying that about this class too. The secret to this class is all you got to do is stay with the class and keep going and be standing by the end, because the people that don't stand by the end are the ones that make it a real legitimate test for everybody else. And the weird secret way to pass the test is just don't fail it, if that makes sense. Flip tacos for a living. Look, first of all, if you flip tacos for a living, here's the upside of that is you're probably making more money than a professor anyway. I got it. That's the downside of all this. I'm saying you're going to get jobs after this, but I ain't saying they're money jobs. I'm just saying they're academically rewarding jobs. Free food. There you go. Can you hook me up, please? No, but one of the hardest lessons I've ever had to learn in life, and I learn it every time, is the minute you're doing something that actually might not just automatically work out, that's how you know it has value. And that's how you have to stick with it. And how do you stick with it? The trick is stick with it. Like, I will talk more in detail about that. But for real, even in this class, when in doubt, the choice is always reduce the choice to, should I keep going or should I quit? The answer is don't quit, and then you'll be okay. That's like the hardest dilemma there is when things get hard. And it's never going to get that hard in this class, and not on my part. It just isn't, as long as you stay with me. I'm going to pause again for a second because but it's clear from your funny chat stuff that you are listening, which I really appreciate. And it gets teasing because we're not, yeah, he's right. Well, the irony of that, as you get to know me better, you're going to know getting a therapy session with me is like, blind getting glasses from the blah, 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 blah. Well, you're very kind. Well, let's not get, well, all I could say is I've done a lot of physics in my time. And when I say I've done a lot of physics, it means I've gotten some good grades, but I've gotten some bad grades too. All of you. I had to make a decision in college. There was a point in I'll tell you more about it, or you can look it up. There was a point in my college where I was doing very well in one major called philosophy. And then I wanted to pick up a second major called physics. And I knew if I picked up a physics major, my grades were going to plummet. It just happened. The way my brain worked, I knew I could get I was getting A's in philosophy. I knew I wasn't going to get A's in physics. And I had to make a choice of whether to have a major that sounded more kick-ass with some grades that didn't sound so kick-ass, or kick-ass grades in a major that didn't. And you all know physics does sound the way physics sounds. Like, fair or not fair, people think that physics is hard, and people think that people can do physics, can do something. And I knew that, and that's like science in general is like that, right? Well, let me tell you, I took the risk in college to do a harder major and get worse grades. And it's one of the smartest risks I've ever taken. I mean, and if you're doing that, you're doing the right thing, honestly. Wait. Yes, no, I'm dead serious. Like, I can't, of course, I can't literally promise anybody anything, but if you are balancing what I am telling you all right now is you probably are going to get a good grade in this class, and I'll be delighted when you do. And it won't be at my expense. It'll be a sharing experience. But when you get some bad grades in science classes, and it does happen, you've got to know that the world knows the difference between a B in science and an A in basket weaving, or even a C in science and an A in basket weaving. The world does know. Yeah. And it especially works, by the way, this is all assuming that you like science at all. If you're slogging through this and hating every minute of it, that's another thing, and we should talk about it. But it's okay to it's very easy to like something you think you're good at. Everybody in the world likes things that they're good at, like duh. Liking something that you're struggling at is a deeper exercise, and it is more of a preparation for really getting a job that you love later on. Again, only reason you should believe anything I'm saying is that because I actually do have a job I love, and I never would, and I really do. I hate it right now in COVID, but I really do. And and I cannot give life advice about other realms, like, because I've messed up a lot of things, including a lot of classes, but this I stand by. All right, so oh, it's so hard to enjoy when it's all online. Oh, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, which is why I want to talk less and have you guys be, the more we can just make this like group therapy surrounding physics, the better off we'll all be. I mean, I could be playing video games with my 6-year-old right now, and I'd rather be, and so would he. And same thing, right? I mean, and I could forget that if I'm in a room with you guys whooping it up on 59th Street, but it's, it's very hard not to feel distracted in one's own home and all that. I know, but okay. But we're all doing a great job already. I feel more human with this already. The time is moving. So what you're going to do right now? Oh, so okay, I'm not going to, so I've gotten one, so I'm going to shift the topic. What you're doing right now is you're taking out that thing called a game. And I've gotten one from one person already. I'm not going to embarrass him, but one person is handing in a piece of paper. I'm going to look at it right now. I'm not going to embarrass him. I'm just going to, I'm not even going to single it out, but I'm just looking at it. See, yes, one person has handed in took a picture, made a PDF of a piece of, no, I'm sorry. You are seeing it. Sorry, that's not what I mean to do. Okay, whoa, that was a close one. But what I'm seeing a piece of paper that literally says on it, oh my God, sorry. I think it just, yes, I'm looking at a piece of paper that literally says, hello, my name is blank. And I said, hello at the beginning of class. That's all I'm looking for. That's perfect, because she's not lying, by the way, or he, sorry. And what they're going to get back from me is just a quick note that says, like, yes, you did, I remember. And they're going to get 50 points back from me. And they should see it in a second. In a second, they should confirm. I mean, they should see a quick note from me and 50 points. And each one, and that's all I'm looking for, is a little note like that. Or you could screenshot, if you were in the chat, and you could just screenshot where your name was in the chat, boom, that's what I'm looking for. Just any little reminder, informal reminder that you were alive and engaged in some way during the class today. That's what I'm looking for, but literally right now, like, please hand it in right now so we can both see how that works and see how the system works. So I'm going to start. And once you've done that, then you can turn to the other sheet, the harder physics sheet, and see if you could start working that through, like on a separate piece of paper, like the physics homework sheet that looks more like physics. Take out a blank pieces of paper and start trying to work out whatever work you think is relevant to start answering that. If you're listening to me right now, I'll even give you a hint that an equation you might want to use for the very first question is F equals negative kx. If you perhaps remember that from Physics 101, or you could look it up, or I'll say it again, F equals negative kx would be a good way to start question number 1 on the other sheet. But first, please, everybody do this sheet that says a game, take 1. If you haven't participated at all in class yet, then do so right now. But right now I've gotten 1. Okay. Oh my God. You all just, wow. Sorry, I just got 22 of them. Thank you. I must not have refreshed. Great. So it looks like all of you, unless I'm looking at the wrong class, did you all just do that? That's fantastic. Yes, I just got 22 of them. You're great. So I'm going to go through them now to make sure you can get your 50 points. I appreciate it. I'm going to be quiet and go through these for a few minutes right now. What I want all you to do, since you've all just done this, terrific, please turn your attention to the other sheet then, and you can totally help each other. You can use the chat, you can talk. I'm not going to pay attention for a second. I'm going to look at your other documents, but just try your best on a separate piece of paper to work out whatever equations or numbers or anything you want to try to get answers to the other sheet. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Could I get any acknowledgement? Great, thank you. Okay, great. Oh, you're running. All right, let me look in the chat. Oh, and yes, sorry. I am going to post a syllabus. I just haven't yet. Yes, I'm going to give you, and syllabus to me means 2 things, really. It means the policies and procedures, but it also often means like the curriculum, like what topics we're doing and when. You're going to get both of those by the end of today. I just didn't put them in the stream yet because I just don't want distractions yet. But yes, you're going to get a syllabus of both kinds in the Google Classroom. And then, what else does it say? My bad, I forgot to turn it. Oh, no, you totally did turn it in, Johandri. Can you repeat what you said? But then Skyla said, can I repeat what I said? And I would love to repeat what I said, but I forgot what I said or what I'm repeating. Or Skyla, can I answer your question better? Or if you're still there or no? Well, until then, all right. Oh, yeah. Well, until then, everybody's working on the thing on the spring while if that's clear, while I look at, I was talking about what this side. So the one that we're doing right now, the game thing, like literally in Skyla's case, for example, she could take us right here where she's talking in the chat to everybody. That counts as participation. So she, for example, could just take a screenshot right there of where it says Skyla's name and says like, yes, I was talking about, and as long as you can turn that screenshot into a PDF, you're going to literally submit that PDF into the assignment portal for that. And that's all you have to do. It's just to sort of remind me of some way that you participated, if that makes sense. Oh, great. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. So again, but I think most of you did that. So I'm going to look. So your goal is to work on a thing on the spring for a few minutes right now. Again, it's kind of like a transition from Physics 101. Like, I don't know how much you remember, but in principle, if you have your notes from Physics 101, you can use those, but you can use whatever resource you want. You can go online, blah, blah, blah. But I just want to check your game assignments while you do that. Okay. Oh, and one question I just got in one of these, so I'm going over these game things, but I just saw one question, one of them, which was very good. Someone asked in one, will there be review sessions held before exams? Perfectly reasonable question. And, this stuff will be explained in the syllabus, but I'm totally delighted to answer these kind of things today, especially if they can ease anxiety. So yes, how exams work in this class, we will have 2 exams, one midterm, one final. Both exams will have the material, both exams will test you on the material from both parts of the course, the lecture part and the lab part. In both exams, there will be review for those exams. What we always do is, one way or another, I'm just saying this to everybody so you know how it works. You'll get a practice exam before the midterm, and you'll get a practice exam before the final. That is, you'll get an exam that's extremely similar to the actual exam you're going to have. You're going to get an exam that's extremely similar. It's the way that you'll study. You'll be given solutions to at least some of those problems on the practice, and the ones that you don't get solutions to, you'll know are going to appear exactly as is on the actual exam itself. So in other words, you're going to get advanced peak at both exams that you take. You're going to get a practice version of that exam and get to take it and talk about it in class before you take the actual thing. So the idea is, by the time you take the actual exam, the surprise element is not meant to be the interesting element. We're not there to play hide the ball or for you to study a million things so that 3 of them end up on the exam. That's not how it works. We want you to know classic, super important problems and how to solve them, and you'll practice them, and then you'll be tested on them. I mean, you'll know what you're being tested on, in other words. So there will be a practice exam, and we will review that practice exam before you take the real exam. If we run out of time and we can't review every single aspect of it or something, then we'll post a YouTube thing walking through it. So yeah, by the time you sit down to the exam, you'll know what to expect on it. Furthermore, I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but as long as we're getting these questions today, it's going to turn out, you're going to find, you're going to think I'm kidding about this, but when you take exams, you're going to take home anyway, and then submit them through this Google Classroom. That's why we're practicing it right now. You are not going to take the exam sitting there with webcams and in real time and all that stuff for 1,000 reasons that we'll talk about more later. But, and again, this is not to be generous or to invite cheating or something like that. I'm going to address all that when the time comes, but you're not going to be under time pressure when you take your exam. So all of those elements it's only just going to be about physics and the physics, if that helps at all. But it's a good question. I just saw in one of these. So I'm just going to shut up again. And if I see more questions, I'll answer them like that. But again, I'm just going through your things right now to see what you're thinking. And you're going through a thing on a spring. You can talk and help each other. Please feel free if you wish. whoa. Oh, Wow. Oh my God. All right. I'm impressed by the chat. Keep going about your business for a moment. I will join you all in a second. Nice. Whoa. Wow. Wow. This is awesome. I love what I'm seeing. I love the fact that you guys are working on this through the chat. I love the fact that you're giving each other your numbers and all of that. So I don't even want to interrupt. I want you to just keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to step away for a second. I'm going to use the restroom for a second, and you're welcome to do that too. But this is great. This is the best thing that could be happening, that you're all communicating like this together. So but do check while you're doing that. I don't want to stop you. Um, but at this point, if you turned in something for a game take one, then you should by now have gotten back a comment, and you should have gotten back points. If you turned it in at all, if you got a comment, you should get points. If you got points, you should have gotten a comment. Please check. And you got all 50 points as long as you turned in a PDF. In a couple of cases, I only gave 40 points if it happened not to be a PDF, if it happened to be a JPEG or something. I know that's really, really annoying on my part, but I just want to straighten that habit out right now. I can't grade and comment the JPEGs the way I can the PDF. It's just, I can't explain that right now, but it's true. So if you got 40 points, not 50, it just means somehow right now, please figure out a way to resubmit as a PDF. There'll be no penalty or anything. I just want to fix this and give you a 50. So, and I'm even going to step out of the room for a second. So maybe some of you can ask each other without me even hearing. If you got a 40, it means I need a PDF, not a JPEG. I know that's annoying, but I want to fix this now before it affects an exam grade. So I'm going to I'm actually going to turn off. I'm going to step away for like 2 minutes so that you guys can help each other, continue to help each other with the actual physics and with the PDF thing. So yeah. So I'm going to put on mute. I'm going to turn off my video just so you know I'm not here for a second. Wow, you guys are rocking this. Okay. I'm going to get in. I'm just catching up. Again, ignore me for the moment. I'm going to catch up with you guys and get involved in a couple of minutes. But the more you're doing with each other, the great. You're up to number 4 already. That's fantastic. Yeah, by the way, what I'm seeing in the chat, I do agree with for what it's worth. Yeah. You guys know a lot. I'm impressed. Number 4. But I will say, for what it's worth, these numbers are right. But again, let me know if you turned in something. You should have gotten back points and a comment today. If you did not, we want to know that right now. Okay. Um, One of you has already turned it. Wow. With the thing on the spring, let me just, I'm about to get involved with you guys and help and talk about it. But if you, I don't expect that to be turned in until next week. I mean, if there's no need to turn it in too fast, that one, the other one, yes. But hopefully you guys are finding if you turn something in, you can always turn in it again. And there's, that's fine. But we're going to about start going. We're going to start talking about it. Okay. Oh. Wow. Oh yeah. Wow, you guys are rocking. I'm loving what I'm looking at what's happening in the chat. I think it's great. Again, just know that as we progress more through this class, like you might even want to take screenshots right now of what you're doing in this chat, because I'm going to ask late. There's going to be more opportunities later to submit reminders for points, and you're going to find like, you know, anything you did at all, you're going to submit for points. But those of you who are all like actually writing equations in this chat, there's going to be opportunity to get points for that. If one of you put in like a screenshot into the chat, you'll get points for that. So definitely realize that this is great what you're doing. Wow, and I love the fact you're setting up a WhatsApp thing. I mean, a WhatsApp. We're going to start going over this together now, because it looks like you're flying through a lot of it. What was I just going to say? And I'm going to start drawing it on the board. What was I just? I just totally forgot. Something just slipped my mind. But all right, yeah, we're going to start going over this right now. Hold on. Now I'm going to try. You guys have a lot of right answers already. I totally agree with the answers that I'm seeing. And I don't want to drag out, if you already know something, I don't want to bore you with more of it. But what I'm going to sort of show you here on the board is more or less what I'm looking for when you do homework or turn it in, or when you do exams or turn it in. Like, so it says a thing on the spring here. This is the homework, right? Question number 1. There's a diagram included in the sheet. I always think it is always a good idea to start with a picture. Even before you start answering questions or specifying questions, it's always good to start with a picture of the facts, as opposed to, there's things called free body diagrams, there's things called vector diagrams, there's things in this class called field line diagrams. There's all kinds of technical, and there's graphs, there's all kinds of technical diagrams that we definitely do use and need to use to start solving problems and answering questions. But I'm saying before we even use technical diagrams to solve things, we should always have a picture of what the problem actually is. And even if it's included in the sheet, the main purpose of a picture is to use the picture labels to define the terms that we're going to have in the problem. So in other words, I'm going to quickly make my own little version of this picture right now. Excuse me. So my picture is not... This isn't the exact same picture. I'm not trying to waste anybody's time. I'm trying to write down what I think is relevant. Okay. And I'm going to turn it to you guys in a minute to explain things that you've already explained in the chat, but starting fresh, just here's my, even before I answer any questions, I'm putting down the facts as I see them. What I see is that there's a mass that I'm calling M for the moment, attached to one end of a horizontal spring. The other end of the horizontal spring is attached to a wall, like that says wall. That says wall right there in my picture. Again, I'm not including all, I'm not making the picture exactly the same as in your sheet, but it is all the same facts. So there's a spring of spring stiffness or spring constant K attached to that wall. On one end of the spring, on one end of the spring is a mass of mass M, and the mass M is initially pulled to a position that I'm going to call the initial position, X naught, right? I'm declaring, before I go any further, before I put numbers in or anything, I'm declaring that that dotted line is the place where the end of the spring would be if nothing were attached to it. In other words, that dotted line is the spring equilibrium position, which we declare to be position 0. We call the equilibrium position of the spring 0. And anything to the right of that, we're going to call positive here. I'm just declaring that. And anything to the left, we're going to call negative, right? So in terms of the givens of this problem, like this picture is the givens. The labels in this picture tell us what variables and constants we're actually going to analyze in the situation. And it happens in this case, you know, M is given as 0.3 kilograms. X naught is given as 0.15 meters. And K, the stiffness of the spring, is given as 200 newtons per meter. Just notice, like those are important for us to solve for numbers. We need those numbers, right? But those numbers are just particular examples of a larger situation of a mass on a spring. Our ultimate goal with this problem is going to be able to figure things out about masses on springs in general. We want to figure things out in general that don't rely specifically on these particular numbers. We're just using these numbers to have something concrete to picture in our mind. So that's why I'm sort of setting this up with letters and then making a clear point to link the letters to the numbers. I think you know that already. This is all the setup. Question one. Well, I'm going to turn it over. I guess actually, I'm just going to say I totally agree. So I want to turn it over to you guys now. Like that's my set. Oh, so wait, if you were doing homework, you would first include a picture like what I just made. Sorry, you'd make a picture like that. Okay. We don't even need this one here. And then question one asked, given all the above, it asks to find F, right? That's what the question is. You don't have to type out all the words of the sheet or anything, but you are doing this homework not on the sheet, right? Like even if you printed out that PDF that has the questions on it that I gave you, you're not trying to scrawl your work or your answers onto that. On a separate piece of paper, you're indicating question one. The question is what's F? And then, all right, I'm going to take this straight from the chat. I shouldn't be talking, but like someone sorry, I'm scrolling back up. In the chat, I see that number two. Wow, this is great. God, there's a lot in here. Sorry. Cool. Right. Spring. Oh yeah. Okay. So I'm going all the way back to Skyla in the chat here. Technically, I think the answer is going to be negative. The way I'm setting it up, I'll talk about that in a second. But 30 newtons is the idea. Yes. Like, what did we do here? And how? Like, what would you write down if this were homework? Like, we're looking for F. What do we know? We know for any ideal spring, right? What's true for any, and stop me if this is not familiar or if this is new or if it's vaguely familiar, but you want clarification. I'm saying in principle, you learn from Physics 101 that for any spring in the world, you put a mass on the edge of a spring, the force that the spring will exert on that mass will be in direct proportion to how far away the mass is held from the spring's equilibrium position. Like if X measures displacement from equilibrium, if X equals 0 is declared to be the equilibrium position, then the greater X is, the greater the restoring force of the spring. And this restoring, this is what this means. F equals negative Kx means I'm never going to finish. I'm sorry. I'm trying to fit this all on one page. It's not going to work. I'm saying so far what I'm just writing right here. I'm just reminding you. And in fact, I shouldn't even be doing this because in fact, by accident, I'm sort of giving away a big conclusion that you're supposed to work on the first day in lab on Wednesday. So if you're really paying attention right now, in a way, I'm making your life easier in a way that I didn't mean to do, but I'm reminding you of something in principle from Physics 101, which is that you put a mass at the edge of a spring, the spring will exert a restoring force on that mass. Like if the mass is held somewhere to the right of the spring's equilibrium position, then the spring will attempt to pull the mass to the left, back to the equilibrium position. The restoring force exerted by a spring is always in the opposite direction to displacement, and it's always directly proportional to displacement. This is what I'm trying to write right here. So what I wrote here is F equals negative kx, the restoring force exerted by a spring onto a mass, that's illegible, sorry, onto a mass is directly proportional to, so I'm going to turn the page now. I'll turn back if you want me to. The restoring force exerted by a spring onto a mass is directly proportional to okay. Again, in principle, this comes from Physics 101. You're going to revisit this on lab on Wednesday, but this is what, so it means, okay, again, in principle, this is just a reminder of background perspective that you need to solve this first problem. The first problem is indeed just a plug-in. Like anybody who got, like I agree with Skyla. Sorry. Yeah, I totally agree with Skyla. Like the answer to the first question is going to be 30 newtons. I mean, technically, I do think it's negative 30 newtons if you see what I'm sort of saying with the negative sign in there, but that's not a big deal. But right, it is 30 newtons. It is just going to be 0.15 times 200. I'm not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. It is a plug-in, but I want you to know what you're plugging into or be reminded of it because it's going to be a big deal on Wednesday. What we're saying when we say F equals negative kx, we're saying that the more you stretch a spring, the harder it pulls back. We're saying it's literally we're saying it's direct proportionality. If you double the length that you expect the spring to be, you're going to double the force that the spring is exerting. The constant of proportionality, like the m in y equals mx plus b, if you like, is the stiffness of the spring, how strong it is, measured in newtons per meter. For every 1 meter of stretch, how many newtons of force does the spring exert? That's like all what we're saying here. So yeah, the answer to question number, sorry, if you were doing homework, you wouldn't have to write all of this down, but the more you write, the better. And especially if you're secure about your answer, if you're pretty sure your answer is right, the more you write down, the more you're clearly justifying and showing that you really understand your answer and that you didn't just crib it from something. But if you don't really have confidence in your final answer, if you're not really sure, then the more you write down, the more you're covering yourself and getting a lot of points along the way. So what I wrote down here is a little bit more than you might usually, but you would have to start by writing the picture. Then you would write the equation that you're going to use, like something that's true in general. the F equals negative kx. You don't have to write all this English that I just wrote. I'm writing that for the class, but you wrote F equals negative kx. So then we're going to plug in, right? I mean, then it is a plug-in. Okay, fine. So F equals negative 200 Newton meters times 0.15 meters. The meters cancel and you'll get negative 30 newtons. Negative because if the mass is held to the right of the spring, then the spring is pulling the mass with 30 newtons of force to the left. Okay, so that is the answer to the very first one. And I box my final answer. It has units in it, like it's negative 30 newtons. That's my final answer. So I start with the fact, I write down some known general principle like F equals negative kx or F equals ma or something like that. And then I solve for the particular numbers and box my final answer. Like, you don't have to write in all the English that I just wrote. But again, the harder things are, the more English will be helpful. But you do have to write more than an answer. Like, but okay, that is my answer for number one. Let me just look at the chat and see if I'm missing anything. Hold on a second. Right, and that is Hooke's law. I would technically say that Hooke's law has a negative sign in it. But yes. And Hooke's law gets you the force exerted by a spring, just that force, nothing else. Okay. This class ends at 7:10. That's part one. Question two, I'm just going to do question two because I think it's also sort of a plug-in. But question two, we now know F equals negative kx, but we also know in question two, well, the question that it's answering is, what's the acceleration of this mass? Now notice it's asking what's the acceleration at that place, at the initial spot in this whole situation. Like, we've just released the mass. We're asking the acceleration, the initial acceleration, in other words. And what we know is this. We got the force, but we also know this. Here. Or you could say, whichever way you like to write it, but this is Newton's second law, right? It's not F equals ma. It's either the sum of all F's equals ma or F net equals ma, but it is all the forces together acting on something together equal its acceleration. Here in this case, though, we only have one force acting on the mass. It's the spring force. So here in this case, we can say this, right? And the left side, we already figured out the left side is 30. And the mass we were given is, oh, sorry. Well, actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to do one more. Wait, sorry. This is all right, but I want to show you something. Sorry. A good habit. Again, I'm just showing you a way that I like to look at homework. You have to show work. There's different ways to show work and stuff like that. But in a case like this, I would say, remember, we're solving for A, right? So this is what I would do. It's not necessarily what all of you would do, but a habit to get into, especially as physics gets more abstract and harder, is, maybe I said this last semester, always try to postpone the plugging in of numbers to the last possible minute. So like, right, again, a little bit sloppy, but I'm saying the answer to the very next question, it is a plug and chug. I'm dragging it out to be as clear as I can, and my handwriting's bad. But the second question is, you take that force, negative 30 newtons, divide by the mass. Why? Because F net equals ma, and in this case, there's only one force acting. Only the spring force is acting. So the spring force is the sum of all forces. That spring force of negative 30 newtons divided by a mass of 0.3 kilograms gives you an acceleration of negative 100 meters per second squared. That's the answer to question 2. Are we still good? And it looks like, yeah, just show your work. Yeah, show our pro. Yes, wait. Okay, back to the chats. It's okay if your answer is negative. The truth is your answer really should be negative. If that initial displacement, if what you guys are calling the amplitude, the 0.15, if you're considering that 0.15 number positive, then the force and the acceleration must be negative. Like what is important is that the force has to be in the opposite direction from the displacement. So you can say that the force and the acceleration are positive if and only if you've decided to call that original 0.15 negative. Like we always have to make a conscious decision about this, like right from the outset. I don't know if that's making sense to people. But now, as far as Vanieta's question, I am saying that when you turn in homework and stuff, especially on exams, yes, you have to show process. You really do. You don't have to show as much explanation as I just did here. Like you don't have to write as much English. You should write English whenever you're unclear about something or you want to be more clear about something. But I'm not saying you have to write as much English as I just did, but I am saying you have to show process, yes. And here, okay, here, actually. Okay. In the chat, some people are asking some good questions about exactly how to show work and stuff. Let me pause for a minute and tell you what I really do want when you're showing work. This will apply to these kind of homeworks, but it particularly applies during the exams. And this will be true for Walters as well. Whenever we ask you a problem and we want you to show work, and it's really, really is important. I know you've been doing it your whole lives and stuff, but it's more important even than it can seem sometimes. Like it's all about showing the process. That's like much more important than the final answers, really. So here's what I mean by showing the process. First, always draw a picture, even if there's already a picture in the problem that was handed out, or even if you think, or especially if you think the picture is obvious, draw a picture. And the reason you draw a picture is as almost a test, is that when all the work that you're going to do, every letter that's going to appear in your work, like every letter in the equations or the formulas, by letters, I mean like X or V or K, every letter, it might be a variable, it might be a constant, it might be an independent variable, it might be a dependent variable, like the different letters. I mean, physics is going to have less and less numbers as you go on, especially in this class. We're going to have fewer and fewer numbers and lots more variables and constants. Like it's going to look more and more like high level math because that's what it is. So any letter that you use in any of your work, whether it's X for displacement or V for velocity, the only reason we accept those letters and why they make any sense in your work, why the reader is expected to understand those letters, is that you define those letters, those variables, those constants, you define them by setting them up as labels in a picture. Like it's super obvious once you know this, but I went for like years and years and years without ever quite realizing this was the purpose of a picture. The purpose of a picture is to define all your variables and constants so that then all this raw math that you do from then on actually makes sense to people. So every letter, whether it's a variable or a constant, every letter you're going to use in your work, you first set it up as a label in your picture. That's requirement 1 for showing process. But then requirement 2 is, and I can go back to that page in a minute if anybody wants. But then step number 2 for showing process is is sure, like write down what's a given, right? Write down what's known. But there's two types of knowns in the world. There's two types of givens. There's givens that are given particularly for the problem, like this mass in this case was initially pulled back to 0.15 meters. Okay, that's a given. We're calling that X naught in this problem. That will be given and presented in your picture. But there's other givens in this problem as well, like that F equals negative KX for springs. Like you're allowed to assume that for this problem. You're not making up that discovery. Or F net equals MA. That's a given for this problem. You're allowed to use it. You didn't make it up. But it's not particular to this problem. It's so basic, it doesn't even say it in the problem. It doesn't even say F net equals MA. Those kinds of givens, those kinds of general truths is what you always want to put down right after your picture. In other words, okay, when you're showing work, what you do after you draw pictures, you write down anything that is known or given in general, like F equals negative KX or F net equals MA. You write down things that are true and really broad, like true all the time, true like you can always rely on them. You write those, but that have anything to do with the problem. You write those down next after the picture. Again, things like F equals negative KX or F net equals MA. Then step 3. Okay, so like in this case, I drew a picture. Like we were just asking for force in question 1. Super simple question. I know many of you did it in one line in your head or one line on the paper, but in principle, what I'm really looking for is a picture, then a statement like F equals negative KX, then, and then question 2, even better example. I was asking for acceleration, right? So you drew a picture in part 1, then you write like F equals negative KX, you write like F equals MA, and then you rearrange so that, say we're solving for acceleration, you actually have that statement, A equals F over M. Like that's another step right there, right? And that's just rearranging to solve for what you're solving for, but it's still all in general terms. And then finally, the last step is the plug-in number step. Now, in the final step, you plug in the numbers like you've written. So, well, I'm going to tell me so I'll turn the page in a second. But I'm saying there's basically 4 steps to showing your work on anything, even if it's a really simple problem. You draw a picture so that we know what the problem is. You write down a generally known truth like F equals negative KX and F equals negative F net equals MA. Then you rearrange analytically for what you're actually looking for now, like A equals F over M. Then if applicable, you plug in the particular numbers of the question to get out a particular number for your answer. I say if applicable because a lot of problems will do, we never even worry about particular numbers. We just leave things as general algebra looking things. So sometimes you don't even have to do step 4. But the idea is there are 3 steps to do here. Even in the simplest possible problem, okay, I may have said this to some of you. Oh, no, I didn't have you last semester. The way, when I say show your process, oh, yeah. I'm totally going to go to, I'm looking at the chat again. By the way, I am going to absolutely go over question 4. I think question 4 is where this starts to get a little thick. You may not have had an equation last semester. We're totally going to go over question 4. But even if I don't get, right. Wait. Okay, wait. So question 4, hopefully I will get up to today. But even if I don't get up to today, it'll be the first thing I do on next week. I do agree that things start to get a little bit harder around question 4, and then they get particularly hard at question 5, actually. It might not even seem that way, but they do. But before I even do that, I'm glad, no, I appreciate what Jennifer's asking in the chat, like to Jennifer Perez, to make sure I understand what's expected for the homework moving forward. Yeah, this is what I'm saying right now. You should show a picture illustration of the problem first, followed by a formula equation that's general, then rearrange the formula equation, then plug in numbers if applicable. So it's really, so basically I'm agreeing yes with Jennifer Perez, but I'm kind of breaking it down even more specifically to 3 or 4 steps you really need to do. And I want to say to everybody, it seems like overkill when the question's easy. It may seem like overkill when the question's easy. But it's really helpful because the whole point is to have a method of doing things for when the question's not easy. To know what to do when you don't know what to do, it's best to really know what you did when you did know what to do. I'll say that again at some point, but so yes, the more work you can actually show, even when you think you didn't do any work, that just means you did the work really fast in your brain. And now I'm asking you to slow down the movie in your brain and give me all the steps on paper, so that next time we have a question that you can't instantly answer in your brain, you have a model to follow. But all right. So I think the answer, and I'm watching the time. I know this is a long class. I know sometimes we'll take a break. Sometimes we'll leave early or whatever. Sometimes we'll do neither. But we are making a lot of headway here, and I would at least like to get through question 4 today. So what do I have so far? So what I think we have so far in sum. So I'm writing answers. Okay, I've showed you how to do the work. I'm just trying to review answers that I have so far to make so you can make sure you're right. And all these are fair game when you're going to turn in this homework for next week. Like you all know how to turn in homework now. One thing is that if this homework takes you more than 1 page, please put all the pages together and submit as one PDF file, not multiple files. But number 2, even though we're doing some of this, even though I'm showing you right now in the class, that's fine. You can still, if you already did and got an answer, but I'm showing you a more thorough way now, you're not cheating if you're copying stuff from class. You're never cheating as long as what you're writing down you understand. It doesn't matter. Well, we'll talk more about that, but as long as you're writing down things you understand, even if you got the understanding from a classmate or from me, I got it from somewhere too. I didn't make up physics. But just don't write things that you don't understand. So anyway, that was answer number 1. Then I think answer number 2 is this. What was question number 3 is, sorry, question number 3. Oh yeah, so now, well, I think the answer to question 3 is 0. I think you had that in the chat, but yeah, just to be clear, the equilibrium position is x equals 0. So this is the answer to 3, as some of you put in the chat. Okay, that's the answer to 3. Now 4. I think this 4 is where we're going to end today. Oh, yes, good, awesome. Yes, I totally agree. I'm looking. Now I'm going to do question 4 now, and this is where we're going to end today. This is a lot already the first day. By the way, I haven't explained to you why are we talking. Your first lab is going to be on springs, and actually the truth is I don't even usually do this homework this fast on the first day. I've kind of stolen Walters's thunder a little bit by doing this, kind of a mistake on my part, but it should make your time even easier on Wednesday. You're going to focus heavily on this equation f equals negative kx on Wednesday. Yeah, on Wednesday. So don't, if you don't remember this a lot from 101, don't be stressed or anything. Like yeah, he won't mind, right? He is a very cool guy. For those of you, I mean, I love the man. And I've been doing physics maybe a little bit longer than he has. There's some things I know that he doesn't, but boy, is that dude smart. Let me tell you, we have an ongoing chess game that we play, turn by turn on our phones or whatever. And he whoops my butt no matter what, he whoops me in chess. And chess is not a joke of a game. Yeah, I love him too. Serious. And if you haven't met his wife, she's fantastic. But anyway, I haven't yet. Thank you for asking. No, I really want. Give him your GPA was going to be fine. I know I do want to see Queen's Gambit. I haven't yet. Thank you for asking. But if you've ever read, strange side note, if you've ever watched a much more depressing show, Handmaid's Tale, which is very dark, very scary. I read the book a long time ago, and the book blew my mind. Very scary. But if you watch that show at all, oh no, I haven't. That's funny. I haven't seen Young Sheldon yet. I understand why I should. Wait, you love Handmaid's? Oh, weird. Well, the only reason I'm mentioning Handmaid's Tale is because that was my high school girl. My high school girlfriend writes for that show. I mean, my girlfriend from high school writes for that show, so it sort of disturbs me even more to watch it. But okay, wait. Where were we? Question 4. I'm going to, yeah, I know. We'll get to know each other, like I said. Don't even get me started if you want. All right. And question 4. I'm going to do question 4 my way right now. You may have, it may be familiar from 101. It may not. We're going to talk about it on Wednesday. I do agree that the answer to question 4 is 3.87 approximately. Anybody or 3.78, whatever. It is like the whatever was put in the chat. I think it's 3.87. If you got that, yeah, 3.87, you are right. And that's good. I'll tell you, but yeah, it's a couple of steps are involved there that no one could just do in their head like in one. Wait, you have lab right now? Wait. Oh, yes. Okay. Let me back up for a second. Correct. So all right, let me back up for a second. Lectures are every Monday with me. Oh, I didn't mean Wednesday. Thank you. Yes, I'm used to teaching this class on Wednesdays. Right. What I mean is, I see what you're saying. I will go over whenever we stop today, we're going to continue with this sheet on Monday, next Monday when we meet again. I didn't mean Wednesday. I mean next Monday when we meet again. What's due for you, for me, for next Monday is for you to continue your work on this sheet and get as far as you can. Even question, since you've gotten pretty far already, it does get harder and harder as it goes. By the time you get to question 9, there's no way that you're expected to just be able to do question 9 easily just from what you learned from Professor Liu or Walter's last semester. Question 9 is hard. You have to think about it. You can go on the web. You can ask for hints and helps from Khan Academy or whatever, but the idea is to learn something from those resources and come back and be able to apply or report. Question 9 will require thought. You might not even be able to get it right in an honest way by next Monday. That's totally okay. but you want to write down everything that you have thought. You want to show that you understand what the question is. You want to show me where you get stuck if you do, for next Monday. Your job for me is to continue this sheet for next Monday, and we'll continue going over it then. Wednesday, you'll meet Walters for lab. You'll have a whole different, structure there, and a lab report for him due the next Wednesday. In other words, it's two parallel things that will be going on. To be realistic and honest, you'll probably often be more stressed about the work you have to get to him than the work you have to get to me. Just realistic until it's exam time, and then you'll be more stressed about me. But yes, you're going to continue with this sheet for next Monday. I apologize. I mean Monday. So we don't submit. This good question, Lola. Your work for this, you will submit any and all work you've done. You will submit in time for class next Monday. Like this sheet, the demonstration that you have thought about this at all while we were not together will be due to me before this lecture begins next Monday. And then we will continue to go over it. In other words, you can include in your work anything that we just accomplished today together. I don't expect you to hand this in today in class. I expect you to hand this in before we start next class. It's the other thing, and in general, that's true. Anything that's due for homework, whether it's those participation points that you just practiced a couple minutes ago, or traditional homework like this, whatever is due will always be due the next lecture class. It's just that today I asked you all to submit the very first thing once today, just to make sure we all know how to do that. In general, you won't have to submit things during class. I don't know if I'm making any. Yes, homework. So good question, Jennifer Perez. Homework. I'll be more detailed about this and you'll see in the syllabus, but with homeworks, especially like this, like regular physics homeworks, they are graded on completion and effort, clarity, thoroughness. They are not graded on correct answers. Let me super emphasize that. It is conceivable to get every single answer wrong on a homework, but as long as you did it clearly and completely enough, even if you get every single answer wrong, you could still get all 50 points that the homework is worth. It is totally not about correct answers. It totally is about engagement and clarity and completion. If that makes sense, I hope. So good, thank you. And so this thing that we're doing right now, you will submit, but for next week. The other thing, hopefully you submitted today in the middle of class. Is that me? I want to pause for a second, make sure those are really important, good questions. Are they clear so far? Okay, good. Okay. So what I'm going to do now, good. Thank you. What I'm going to do now, just so we end with some, I'm going to scroll out without talking. I'm just going to scroll out my solution to question 4. I do get 3.87. I'll just show you the way I do it. It may or may not clarify things for you. We might have to just pick up there next week and talk about it, but I'm just going to scroll it right now. I mean, meaning write it out. Wait, chat. I'm just looking at the chat. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Okay. Like this is my interpretation of the question, right? When X is 0, when we're at equilibrium, what is V? Like that's what I think we're solving for. And here's, sorry, excuse me. All right. I already feel like I want to say things about it. I'm going to try to keep my problems. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to write out. No, I'm a grade fairy, by the way. Question 9's not so none of this is optional. It's all required. You have to do it. But what is optional is being correct. Like anybody if you get question 9 perfectly correct, without a lot of lines of work or without a lot of thought or research, you may well be cheating, to be honest. Like it's very hard to get question 9 correct just easily. So it's not optional. I want you to try everything. I want you to try everything on the sheet, and I want you to push yourselves, all of you. But I want to tell you in advance, you will always be asked to push yourself, and you'll always be asked to try to figure out things that you don't already know, because that's the purpose of the class. but you'll always be graded accordingly. I'm not going to take off points for incorrect answers, but that's why you have to try. I'm just talking to everybody now because it's a legitimate question. You have to turn in something for question 9 because you're being told in advance that you won't be punished if the something you turn in isn't accurate, if that makes sense. So do everything, but know it's okay to do it wrong. We really want to get used to being wrong in science. That is the single biggest, I think, the biggest disservice that we do to you guys semester after semester and year after year as in this science program is we accidentally perpetually get you guys afraid of being wrong in public, because science seems so much to be about rights and wrongs. It's really a disservice. What science is really about is experimentation. And that doesn't just mean in the lab, it means in the brain. What we're really here to do is learn how to take risks and be comfortable with being wrong a lot of the time, intellectually. And so please take risks on homework and be wrong. And please trust, you'll see, you will get points, tons of points for doing that. And you will not be punished for being wrong on homeworks. And then by the time we get to exams, then you have to be right. I mean, that's it. But so I'm gonna write out my solution to this. I'm gonna tell you right now that the first 3 questions we used like F net equals ma. We used forces and accelerations. But for this question number 4, I'm not going to use forces and accelerations. I'm not going to use F net equals ma, even though it's still true. It is still true. F net equals ma is always true. It's just not always as helpful because in some cases, like this case of a spring, every single place, every single point in space, every single point in time, this mass is being subjected to a different force. The force is changing continuously throughout the behavior, and therefore the acceleration is changing continuously. So anything that's true about F or A is only true at a point, and it won't help me analyze motion from one point to another. I want to be very clear about that to everybody. Notice in the first 3 questions, I was only asking you about what was going on at a certain spot in time and a certain spot in space. That spot that I was asking you about in the first 2 questions was the amplitude spot, the very first, the 15 centimeters plate. And then in the 3rd question, I was asking you about in all those 3 questions. Yeah, and then the 3rd question, I was asking you something about the equilibrium position, just straight up. Here, I'm actually asking you to figure out something that happens between the very first spot and the equilibrium spot. As such, since the force is going to change and the acceleration is going to change, we'll have to use a different way of thinking about physics, which is energy. I know some of you already realize that. I'm just telling you why all of a sudden I'm going to shift from forces and accelerations to energy here. It's not random. And it's not because all of a sudden F net equals ma is wrong. It's because if I wrote it down, I wouldn't know which F to use, the F from equilibrium or the F from another spot. So I'm going instead to energy. So I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to say, if you take all, yeah, I better say this because I'm going to have to flip the page in a second. I'm going to use capital E to mean total mechanical energy of any given system. The total mechanical energy of any given system is defined in physics to mean all of the kinetic energy of the system plus all of the potential energy of the system. Okay, that's how I'm going to use capital E from now on to mean that. By the way, also notice I'm using A double equal sign means equal by circumstance or outcome or observation. Like double equal signs you've seen your whole life. It means equal by discovery, equal by outcome, equal by circumstance, equal as it turned to. So, like 2 plus 3 equals 5, double equal sign. But a triple equal sign is tremendously important distinction in physics. It helps so much to know about this other kind of equals. Whenever we say two things are equal by definition, or when we define one thing to be another, we use a triple equal sign. It highlights a very different kind of equality, and equality by definition will never let you down. It's like always, always true, right? And it's true because it has to be. So anyway, I'm saying, so we use that in physics. E is defined to be total mechanical energy. It means all the kinetic plus all the potential of some system. What do I mean by E sub A and E sub B? Okay, if I put E subscript A, what I very specifically am going to mean. Oh, yeah, like 12 inches and well 11 is 1 foot. Yes, that's a good example of what I'm saying. Yes. And what I'm saying here is when I write E subscript A, I mean total mechanical energy at a particular place, a particular point in space. Like E sub A means the total energy where X equals A. Okay. And therefore E sub B would be the same thing, would be total mechanical energy at some other place known as B. This is an important distinction. Because it's as opposed to like the total mechanical energy at some time or something. I'm specifically saying A and B are two different places, two different positions. And to believe in the conservation of energy, and you've talked about this in some way or another in Physics 101, but you've certainly talked about it in other science classes, to say that energy is conserved in physics means that the total amount of energy at one spot, at one place, is the same at any and every other place or places. Like when, in other words, I just want you to know this is, we're actually saying something that's not obvious here or not simple. When we say energy is conserved, we mean no matter which two places you pick in a given system, you're going to get the total amount of energy being the same at those two places. Like, for example, in here with the spring, if we are going to apply energy conservation, what we're believing is that the total amount of energy when the mass is at 0.15 meters is the same total amount of energy as when the mass is at 0 meters, like the equilibrium. We conserve it from place to place. And other quantities like momentum are conserved from one moment to another moment, but energy is conserved from one position to another position. Therefore, in this context, then what we're saying is, oh, wait a second. Here, all the potential energy is potential energy due to a spring. There's other types of potential energy, like there's potential energy due to gravity, but gravity is not doing anything in this problem. The entire problem is horizontal. I mean, there's and there's also electric potential energy, but there's no electricity in this problem, et cetera, et cetera. So all that we're talking about here is spring potential energy. For reasons that I want to get into in more depth next week, I'll just remind you right now something you may or may not remember from Physics 101. Spring potential energy, okay, is this. This may be familiar, maybe not. I may have to explain this next week, but I am telling you for the moment. That's spring potential energy and kinetic energy. A few minutes. That is my 6-year-old. He's going to end class for. Oh, we only have a couple minutes anyway. Yes, one minute. Pardon me.
I have something to tell you.
Hi. Yes.
I caught a ditto.
You did? That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm so proud. Can I come down and see
Ditto
if I
only
can-
knows one move.
What?
Transform. And
Trans-
it allows him to transform into a Pokemon with all its moves and does whatever it does.
Do you want to say hello to the class?
No way. I'm getting out of here.
Oh, okay. Well, that was very nice. All right.
Bye,
Congratulations.
poophead.
Oh, very nice. That's great.
Because you are a poop.
All right, easy,
poophead.
easy. All right, I'll see you in 5 minutes. All right, easy. All right, all right. Thank you. All right. Sorry, that was my son.
Bye, Stinky.
All right, enough. We got it. The message was clear.
Come, let's get ready, so you'll be ready when he's ready.
Thank you. Okay. Yes. Okay. So, yes, I have to. Oh my God, someone is laughing. Okay. Well, yes, that's my child. All right. Ha, Lars. That's great. Yes. Oh, that's awesome. Oh my God. Wait, I'm reading this chat. You just blew my. I was about to explain those references, but apparently I don't have. Oh, that's very nice. Oh my God. You put more chats about my son than you did about the darn problem, you people. But wait, but apparently I did not have to explain the Pokemon references. I'm very thrilled about that. You want to battle. That is funny. Can we trade? I'll give you my Raycon. Oh my God. For what it's, since you guys clearly get this. Okay. I want to say one quick thing. Well, no, I better not. All right. Remind me next time. We'll talk about Pokemon. We'll talk about stuff like that. And I appreciate your indulgence. For the moment, what I'm just saying is the potential energy due to a spring is 1 FKX². I do have to justify that. Even if you remember that, I feel like that needs to be justified and explained. I will not right now. I will next Monday. But something that, because it's specific to springs, right? Like you might remember the potential energy due to gravity is something else. It's like MGH, blah, blah, blah. Potential energy is a slippery concept, but just in the interest of time, I'm just saying right now, I use 1 FKX² to mean spring potential energy. Kinetic energy, always in this class. At this level of physics, prior to 1905, kinetic energy will always, no matter what, be 1 FmV². You can take that to the bank and memorize. Like, we'll never trick you with that on an exam. Potential energy is a little more tricky, but kinetic energy is always 1 FmV². Therefore, and I know we really are about to be out of time. I'm saying the way I solve this problem is, and I am dragging up, but technically the way to solve this problem is to say, okay, then 1 FKX² plus 1 FmV² at any one position in the problem. Now, I know some of you did not drag this. I know some of you did this faster, but I want you to see really how to do this, especially because the next question 5 is harder than it looks. So I'm saying that the sum of all potential and all kinetic at one point in this problem, like where the mass begins, must be the same as any other point in this problem because springs do conserve energy. Whatever they take away in terms of potential, they give back in terms of kinetic and vice versa. Oh, well, springs conserve energy. So the most proper way, if we're following the model of how to solve problems, I always write down something that's true in general first, right? And then I try to tweak it to apply it to the problem. I wrote this down a few minutes ago and I forgot to elaborate. What I really want to emphasize to all of you is the proper way to solve a physics problem is you start with what's true and try to make it relevant, as opposed to what students intend to do when they panic, definitely including me. What we all do when we panic, especially on exams, is we tend to write down things that we think are relevant, and then we try to make them true. If you really think this through, this is what a big distinction. Like people tend to write down, use the numbers in a problem, like they'll use the 0.15 and they'll use the 0.3, and try to build it back up to some statement of energy conservation or something. Don't start with what's in the problem and then try to make it work. Start with things that you know are always true and then apply them to the problem. It's a much better way to go. Go from true to relevant, not from relevant to true. That said, that's what I'm doing right here, and we will wrap up in a second. I'm saying what's always true is if energy is conserved, the total amount of energy over here must equal the total amount of energy over there. So by A, I mean like where X equals 0.15, let's say. And by B, I mean like the equilibrium where X equals 0, right? So we're just about done. I know we're just about, you guys have been very, very patient. So what do I do? Well, if A is where X equals 0.15 and blah, 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 and B is the other one, then I look at what I've written here. Okay, at A, at that initial amplitude spot, like some of you called it, V equaled 0, right? There's no kinetic energy at when this whole thing began with initial velocity of 0, right? And when this thing raced all the way to equilibrium, at equilibrium, by definition, X equals 0. So there's no potential energy there, right? So this is why when we're doing this question 4, a lot of you skipped straight to the step I'm about to write down. I know a lot of you, if you got it right, probably just wrote like 1f kx squared equals 1f mv squared or something. I'm saying really, if you're thinking it through carefully, really what's true is that potential plus kinetic over here must equal potential plus kinetic over there. But then you're just happening to notice that you're looking at two kind of comparatively easy spots where for one of them, there is no potential, so it goes to 0. On the other, there is no kinetic, so it goes to 0. So then we can cross out these things and then we're left. We're just about done. I promise. I can't believe I'm keeping you late on the first day. But when we're left with then this, like, right? But notice what we're saying. We're saying that the potential over here at spot A equals the kinetic over there at spot B. We're not saying that at one spot, the kinetic and potential are equal. That's very, right. We're saying that all the PE is converted to KE. Great. For this particular question, right. So then we can cross off, we can divide both sides by 1/2. And then here, what are we looking for? We're looking for V. We're looking for V in all the wrong places. We're looking for V, right? So before I plug in any numbers, I just get in the habit of being like, oh, okay. So mv squared equals kx squared. So v squared equals kx squared over m. So v equals square root, right? This is not an equation. Like, don't memorize v equals square root of kx squared over m, or don't think, oh, we never learned that in 101. It's not a thing to learn, right? It's just what's coming out of the process. Now I can plug in the numbers. This is our very last thing. I plug in those numbers, you know, the 200, the 15 squared, the 0.3 on the bottom. I'm going fast because class is about over. And then I get the square root of all that, which is approximate. Like, you know, the digits go on forever. So I chop them off and I admit that I'm chopping them off. And that's why I get approximately 3.87 meters per second as the answer for question 4. That was a little quick. We're going to start right from there next time when we go, like, you know, you can submit those answers 1 through 4. I know I just did them, but if you do them neatly on a piece of paper, they count for your credit. Just keep going with the sheet as far as you can for next week. Let me just look in the chat. We will go in a second. I know you have to go. I know it's been a long day for all of you. Oh, great question. The 1 FMV squared on the left went away because at spot A on that, we're comparing one place to another place. The first place that we're like the left side all refers to when the mass was at the position 0.15, like when this whole problem began. In other words, the mass had no velocity at that point. It was released from rest. It had no V, so V equals 0. So that whole term got crossed out. I don't know if that answered. I could say that again on Monday. Did that answer your question? I hope that answered the question. But I'll say it. Kind of. Okay. Oh, okay. And I'm gonna look. All right, hold on. Once I know it's touch. I'll try to answer that question again Monday a little slower. I feel like I'm going a little fast right now, but there's no kinetic energy at point A because point A, the object has no speed. It's initially at rest. The whole problem tells us that we're holding the thing there and then we let it go. So it doesn't have any initial speed, but I'll try to say that. I'm just, who? Oh, sorry. I want to let you all go. I'm just looking for someone just. Oh, great. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry if I didn't very well. I will answer that V equals 0 question again next class. I don't want to let you guys late. I feel like we actually got a lot done. I got all those assignments for you. Everybody got 50 points. Say every single person, even every single person got 50 points who's here. That's great. Same procedure for handing this in next time. We'll pick up from here. Oh, cool, cool. Okay. So if you're kind of, okay. So if I'm good to go, if you guys are good to go, if you just turn on your videos for a second or turn off mute or something and just like yell goodbye or just do something human to indicate you're good to go, then I am too. Oh, cool. Thank you. I appreciate it, Kat. That's good.
Later,
All right.
Professor.
Hi, thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Great. It was great. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Great.
Bye.
Bye, Professor.
Bye. Bye.
Good night.
You too. Good night. Good night. I really appreciate your humanity, people. Thank you very much. It's definitely noticed. Thank you. Bye. Okay. Bye. Thank you.